My husband and I want to start a family and are struggling to conceive. We've
Hmm.
started talking about adoption. We don't want to start the adoption process with bitterness or hurt from not being able to conceive. How do we know if adoption is the right step for us and if we're ready for it?
Yeah, man, my heart just aches with you. And how painful that is, and that journey is when you want to start a family and you feel like you're at that phase in your relationship, and you engage it with joyful expectation. And being able to celebrate that together and to celebrate that with your friends and your family, just like you have celebrated with them as they've conceived, and then for it to just not happen the way that you have seen it happen with others. It's just such a painful thing, and it feels so unfair. And it's like, why? Why is this happening to me? Why am I going through this? Why am I having this experience? Why is, as I'm praying and I'm asking for God's help around this, why is He not answering that prayer? And why is it not changing my situation? Just so many painful struggles that come with it. And then relational disconnect, right? That you want to celebrate with others as they're celebrating the joy of what's happening in their family, but just is so painful and reminding you of the pain that you're experiencing in your family, and can create this kind of disconnect and isolation from those in your life that you were close to. There's just a lot of different dynamics to it. It can affect the relationship between you and your spouse. If you're going maybe not on the same page about what to do about the situation. It can affect your physical intimacy in the relationship as connecting sexually becomes more about making a baby than it does about being close and having fun together. And every time we're together and we don't conceive, it's a reminder of the pain that we're feeling. There's just a lot of moving pieces and a lot of pain that can be a part of it. So I just want to empathize with you in that struggle. So my heart goes out to you. And I hope that you're not navigating it alone. I hope that you have people in your corner that you can invite in to the struggle that you're having. You don't have to broadcast it on Facebook to the world, but that you have some close people who can know what's going on in your world, and that you can process the pain of that with, and the struggle of that. Because when you're alone with it, it's unbearable. It just really is. It's overwhelming. And you need someone in your corner other than just your spouse. Because there are going to be times in that journey that your spouse can't fully identify with what you're feeling and what you're going through. You can't fully identify what they're going through. And if we don't have people outside of our spouse in our corner, then it gets to be really isolated and really overwhelming. So please, please, please find some people, identify the people in your life you trust and are safe with that you can invite into the circle with you. In your journey, part of the question is, how do I know, is it time to look at adoption? Is that something that we should explore? How do we prep our heart for that? Part of that journey is recognizing the grief that's associated with it. So much grief that's a part of infertility. But the decision to go down this road means kind of needing to grieve the losses around what hasn't happened the way that you thought it was going to happen thus far. The part of that grief is working through the disillusionment that we have with God in the midst of that. Like, where are you at? I thought you had my back on this, right? And why is it? Why are you've answered these prayers for others? Why are you not answering for me? And there's that way in which the enemy likes to use that to create distance and isolation between us and our King. And he's not afraid of those questions. He's not afraid of that wrestling. The scriptures capture lots of instances of people wrestling with God around those things. and God could have like smited them. He could have like completely left out of the scriptures the account of those things happening. But he didn't. He included them in the scriptures in order to show us the humanity that we all share and the okayness of us wrestling with those pieces. So I just would encourage you to go to the Lord with those things, and go to the support people in your life and allow yourself to talk through and grieve through the disillusionment that's a part of that, the frustration, the hurt, and to be able to uh, work through also any disconnect that's between you and your spouse, kind of around that's come out of the infertility journey. Because adoption is its own journey and it has its own struggles that are part of it. And that's not going to solve the disconnect between you and your spouse. And so if you don't address any disconnect that has come out of this struggle and this journey between you and your spouse, it's likely to get exacerbated and made worse in the adoption journey and process. And so I'd really encourage you to get a marriage therapist, invite somebody in, and just maybe you think there's nothing there and you're all in a good place. Great. It'll be short therapy. Come in. We'll kind of talk through things and you'll feel confident that you both have had a venue to be able to talk through things maybe you were afraid to bring up with each other or didn't know how. Or maybe if there are things there, you'll have some real support and help from somebody that knows how to navigate through those waters and help you guys come together and be in a good place to move into that adoption journey taking place there. Because there's a lot of questions even once you decide to go down that road. Are we going to foster adopt? Are we going to do international adoption? Are we going to closed adoptions? Are we doing open adoption? What's that supposed to look like for our family? What's the Lord wanting to do in our family through that journey? So as you walk down that road, you have to weigh out each of those different scenarios. For Kathy and I, we did foster care and we adopted through foster care. And you can go that route with different aged kids. You can go that route looking for infants. We took in teenagers. That was kind of our niche and what God put on our heart. And so we have teenagers in our home that we cared for and became part of our family by way of that route. But it looks different for each couple and each family. So it's really about taking care of your own heart, grieving through the losses that are part of this, and making sure that that connection and bond between you and your spouse is being taken care of so that you're in a strong, healthy place for the challenges that are part of that road as well.
Yeah, that's great. We've talked before about just like the mindfulness of knowing when you need to grieve, when you need to process. And, that's something that you touched on the importance of doing that, prior to adding all of the pressure and stress that might come along with the adoption process.
Yeah, not might. I promise you that will come along. That is part of the process. There's all sorts of challenges that you don't even know about until you're going to that journey that are unforeseen. That
right. So
make
how
it
important to just, grieve and process those big emotions, and how detrimental it could be if those come up with all of the other things, or
yeah,
even, 10
and they
years.
will. Even in the best case scenarios, like even if you've done really good work in caring for your heart and grieving and working through all these different pieces, they're still going to get bumped into along the way in the journey. But if you haven't done good work in taking care of your heart and navigating through it, when they get bumped into, instead of it being like I know how to care for this, and I kind of take care of that and move through it piece, it'll be like, and it just completely mess with you in a way that's overwhelming and can derail you in significant ways.